Have you ever wondered what it would have been like if you could have witnessed the resurrection of Jesus? And I don't mean if you could have witnessed the empty tomb at sunrise on a day like today. What I mean is, what if you could have actually witnessed Jesus open his eyes and get up and walk out? What would that be like? How would you then describe it? What word could you use to describe that? One that pops in my mind is indescribable. But I think probably the most pertinent word would be powerful. It would be powerful because the word literally means full of power, and that is what took place in that tomb. There was power from the Holy Spirit to raise Jesus from the dead. Now, power literally means the ability to do anything. It is necessary for you to have power, for anything to have power, to get anything done. And that word falls into so many different contexts and it takes on so many forms that sometimes it loses its significance. When you think of the various ways we use the word power, I got to power through this day, and I don't have the willpower, and all of these different ways. When you think, though, just how magnificent the word power is, especially in the context of the power of the Holy Spirit. When I was younger, and much smaller, I was a baseball player, and I remember having this drill. We show up to practice one day, and the coach had us throw in shot put. And I was like, why are we doing this? If I want to do this, I'd be on the track and field team. But we didn't understand. But let me tell you, none of us were into it until we found out it was a competition. Because this is what Coach said. The reason we're doing this is because it will show me how much power you can generate to squat down and throw it backwards. So then everybody was into it. We were ready. We wanted to see who had the most power. So what does the power of the resurrection mean to you? What does it mean to me? I can tell you what it meant to a guy named Peter. It took a guy named Peter from being a fisherman to being a loudmouth, someone who didn't think about his words before releasing them out into the air, a man who denied Jesus 3 times after being told he was going to deny Jesus 3 times and denying it. I can tell you what it did for a man named Thomas. A man named Thomas needed proof of the resurrection of Christ. He had to do the investigative part. He wanted to know for sure that Jesus was alive and had been raised from the dead. I can tell you what it means to a close friend of mine who just recently, in the last couple of days, after being in church for years, finally said, I get it. And everything's changed because the power of the resurrection in that moment, what it did was it obliterated years of anger, confusion, all those things. That's what the power of the resurrection did for my friend. And lastly, let me just tell you about Paul and Silas, and I'll be brief with this. Paul and Silas are in Philippi. Paul and Silas are being heckled, being mocked by a demonized girl for days. Paul turns around, casts the demon out. The girl was a fortune teller. She was making money for her owners. Therefore, they lost their profit. They were mad. They have them put in jail. Paul and Silas are in jail. They're in chains, stocks, whole 9 yards. An earthquake happens as Paul and Silas are singing hymns to God. An earthquake happens. Their chains fall. The jails sling open. And over to the side, they see the jailer who is preparing to take his own life because he assumes all the prisoners are gone. And Paul says, don't harm yourself. Do not harm yourself. We are all here. Paul and Silas sang through the suffering. And they loved the jailer, the very man who was watching over them, making sure that they stayed right where they should be and that they remained confined. They loved the jailer. In Romans chapter 8, verse 11, it says, the Spirit, the power that raised Jesus from the dead, dwells in you and I, for every believer and follower of Jesus Christ. That same power that raised Jesus from the dead lives in us if we choose to follow him. And just from the examples I've given, and all you got to do is look around and look inside yourself, and you will see that power at work each and every day. So yes, it's Resurrection Sunday, and we're excited. But resurrection happens every day in our lives. I hope you have a blessed day.